This is a full solve of all of today, January 9th's 2026 Notepad Games puzzles. So let's get started with the daily muddle. We have a W and an L in our first row across. A lot of vowels, 2 E's, 4 A's, an O and an I. So we probably want to start thinking about words that have 2 vowels. Got that right away with a whale. So then if we're looking down at the W to the T, are there any words immediately that might use 2 more vowels? See, west doesn't use 2 vowels, obviously. Not seeing something there. And you see this A, it could be area. It is not area. Anything else? It could be a C. It is not a C. Again, I'm still trying to think of words that will use multiple vowels to narrow down our possibilities. We could have Lear over here. It is Lear and it was rate. So those were both good words to get. We've narrowed ourselves down now to only 2 A's and an O remaining. So this, I'm guessing, is going to be wart. It is wart. We have this down here. Could be SAR. It is. And now we have iota and alas. And what was the across? I don't know if I saw it in time. The across was aloe, and that was today's muddle puzzle in 1 minute and 35. So let's jump on to the next puzzle. I'm going to go down the line to the daily Equatara. Best of 3 moves here. So there is a possible concatenation somewhere. This would clear the grid. We wouldn't be able to reach to both sides. We could do like a 72 minus 4 to get a 68. 68 minus 68 would give us 0, but we'd be left with this 3. So that is not going to be our answer. So we likely need to get rid of one of these numbers quickly. 4 minus 2 would bring us down to, this would still be like a 72. But that's not going to get us there. We have this 7 minus 3 brings us down to a 4. 48, 48 minus 6 gives us 42. And then we have a 42 minus a 42 brings us down to 0 in the best possible of 3 moves. And that was the daily Equatara in 1 minute and 7, 3 equations. Let's move on. I'm going to jump to down the line of the Triomino next. Target of 13, group size of 3. So we're just looking for groupings that add up. 7, 3, and 3. 6, 6, and 1. 3, 8, and 2 is going to be 13, leaving us with 4, 4, and 5 for the Triomino puzzle. Nice and quick. Let's move on to the Gigantomino puzzle. This is going to be a bit larger. 2 groupings here. We have a target of 34. So I'm going to circle the middle. Start with that. That brings us up to 30. I think we have 3 more numbers to grab. So we need 4 and 3 numbers, which I don't see a 2, 2, and a 1. So we're going to have to change up how we're doing this. This brings us to 37. If I drop something like this 5 and take this 5, we're still at 37, but now I can drop a 5 and take a 5 here, and a 4 and maybe take a 2 here. Brings us down to 35. This would bring us down to 32. So we need to get 1 larger. Is there a simple way to get 1 larger here? I don't see it. We can keep kind of just shifting how we grab our numbers. Again, this brings us to 33. So that should bring us to 34. That seems correct. And then we just need to fill in the other half of the grid. And that was today's Gigantomino in 1:12. Let's move on now to the Cipher. 5-letter word today. I'm going to start in the middle-ish of the alphabet with might, 256 away. So for the 5-letter words, 256, I'm going to go into the... I'm wondering if the K's is not far enough or if that's going to be too far. I'm going to go with king. Oh, kings, plural, 5 letters. King is only 4. Okay, so we were a little too far, but not insanely past. Kings is 98 before our target word in the dictionary. So maybe an L. Maybe something like a knight's lance keeps us at the start of the L's. Still before the word in the dictionary. So it's going to be, it could be an M. It still could be easily in the L's, closer to the middle or the end of the alphabet. So maybe something like lunch moves us along. Okay, we have now flown onto the other side of our word. So between LA and LU, closer to LA, could be an E, could be an I. Maybe I'm going to go with Lears. Moves us a little bit down. Still think that's not going to be far enough. It is very close. 3 away. So are there other L-E-A words? Maybe something like leaps. 9 away. A narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall or cliff. A narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall or a cliff. Some of you will likely know that immediately. A narrow horizontal shelf projecting from a wall or a cliff that starts with L-E. Sounds like it's going to be a ledge. And that's likely going to be our word today in 7 guesses. That was today's cipher. Let's see how long it took. 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Not a bad time and guess count for the day. Let's move on now to the streams for our second to last puzzle. So let's take a look what we have. This cell only the purple can get. That is a gimme. This cell, it looks like only the red is going to be able to get that. That is going to have to come out. So that looks like another gimme. Down here, if the yellow goes, these cells are impossible to get. So we're going to have to go with the blue, or the light blue. It's going to come out and around. Then the yellow has to come out. This cell, if the orange takes it, this is an illegal move. We can't have multiple cells touching like that. Everything has to be a straight line. So the green is going to have to be what comes down here. It means the orange is going to have to come up and around. This blue is another gimme up here. This green is likely going to have to just connect. The orange can finish its little zigzag across the board. The yellow has to connect, and then the blue will take these final 2 cells for today's streams puzzle in 1:06. And then let's complete the final puzzle, leaving what I have the hardest time with for last, the toggle puzzle. 5 toggles in a 5x5 grid with cells all over that need to be shifted. Immediately I'm going to do that. That seems easy enough to get those. And now we somehow just have to move these closer to each other. So my gut is saying this, this, and this, and that is going to be correct to just shift all of those lights this way. And then with one remaining toggle, we will finish the puzzle. And that was today's toggle puzzle in 29 seconds. Not a bad time. So that was all of today's puzzles. If you want to play, feel free to jump on over to notepadgames.com, also available on the Apple App Store, and let me know how you did.